Everyone has a story to tell. It's my mission to tell it. Unscripted, unedited, we are on the record.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarina and welcome to On the Record, where we hear such incredible stories from inspiring people. And today, back on the record, two of my most favorite people, Linda Hurtado Bond and Lissette Campos. Okay, two of my mentors. Girls, thank you for being here.
We've been friends for such a long time, haven't we?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I should have worn my red though.
I didn't give you the memo, I'm sorry.
Okay, wait, listen though. In honor of your book, your latest book that you wot, All the Broken Girls, I am wearing.
You have red and black, okay? Your red and black is right there. That works.
So, before we get started on the show, though, so much to talk about. Just tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Okay, Linda, you go first. You're the most important one.
Gosh, no, that is not true. We are a team, but my name's Linda Hurtado. Bond is my pen name, and I got a pen name because I started writing fiction, even though I was a television news journalist, and in the beginning I wanted to keep the two careers separate. So Bond is my mom's married name. James,
it is?
I mean, maiden name, not married name.
I
maiden
didn't
name.
know that,
it is.
though.
And my uncle is James Bond.
No way.
But he's not the hunky movie star. He was a law school professor, but his name was James Bond. And so I write fiction that's like a James Bond movie, and so I thought that would be the perfect pen name to have. So that's where you get the Linda Hurtado Bond. I work at Fox 13 during the day, and I write thrillers at night.
So, you know, the show, as we know, is unedited, unscripted. I've talked so much about the two of you, but I didn't even know that story about your uncle.
Yes, I am related to James Bond, Sarina.
For real.
For real. So, Lissette, now share, oh my gosh, share about you.
Well, I met the two of them in 2001 when I moved from Miami, from the CBS station, to Tampa to work at the ABC station. And fast forward, 35 years later in the business, I now do media and communication strategy, and I'm a master storyteller. So when Linda gave me the opportunity to kind of advise on the book and on all of the twists and turns of this novel, I just jumped at the chance, and I'm really excited to be here today to talk about it.
One of the goals, and we'll talk about this more, was to bring the Cuban American culture to people who may not know much about it, because I love it so much, and so I relied on Lissette too, just to kind of double check me on everything, because you get so close to a story, sometimes you miss the obvious.
Yeah.
And you just need someone.
You take mental
there.
shortcuts, right?
Right.
Because in your family, if everybody's Cuban, they just know when you say X, that's what it means. And so it was really fun to go back and take a look and explain everything and make sure that for the person coming to this story for the very first time, exposed to the Cuban culture, that they would be able to not just find it interesting, but just enchanting, like draw them into the story.
And thank you very much, because reviews are coming in, they're good, and one of the things they say is that they really feel like they know this culture so much better now, and it's lovely, and that they hope the story continues because they love the characters, so that's good.
Well, I have to say, I mean, both of these guys are master storytellers. How many Emmys have you each won? People like I
have 8.
Yeah, and like
you have more.
I have 13.
13,
and I stopped. I thought 13's been a very lucky number for me, so I'm just going to stop at 13.
I share that with you. I share that because, there's many other awards, of course, that you have won, but I think people really know, they hear Emmy and they think. But
you've won a few too.
Oh, well, it's not nearly as many. But thank you. So why do you think it's so important to share more about the Cuban culture?
Well, I think you hear a lot about it now, about making sure that people can read books about their community and see their lives in books, in TV, in the movies. And the Cuban American culture is big here in Tampa and in Florida, but I don't know that people in Wisconsin or people in Maine or in Alaska know about this beautiful culture. And I married into it. My father is Hispanic, but I married into the Cuban culture. And I love my husband's family so much, and all the wonderful, beautiful traditions, from the food to the fact that family always comes first. And when the 2-year-old's having a birthday party, you go, right? Even if there's 5,000 other things you'd rather be doing, you go because family supports family. It's what we do. And I just wanted the world to see that. And then I thought of some of the really cool traditions, like or religions like Santeria.
Yeah.
Just some things that I don't think people know too much about, and may go, ooh, because they don't know too much about it.
Right.
So what a nice opportunity to learn. And, like we do in our culture, we just want to give everybody a big warm hug and a kiss on the cheek and say, welcome home when you read this book. Just welcome home.
Well, okay, so tell us, though, one thing we're all really familiar with, too, is newsrooms and, behind the scenes of newsrooms. And, that's always so much fun.
Right.
But so tell us about the book, All the Broken Girls. It's also, it's very intriguing.
It's a serial killer thriller, too, so it's not all warm hugs and kisses. I will say that. It starts in a newsroom. So what a better place to start a book when you're a news reporter than, in the newsroom. It is a Cuban-American crime reporter who's on suspension because she rattled a city council member with an accusation and got suspended from work. And so she's looking for a little redemption herself because now she's doing fluff stories on sloths at the zoo.
I'm very offended by it.
Lissette, weigh in on when you are doing the major story and then you do those type of stories. How does that make you feel?
Not good. Not a good day.
It's a public spanking, kind of.
Yes, it is. It's public humiliation.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that's how the story starts. And she goes out, of course, thinking, well, I can, how can I mess up a simple sloth story? And then, of course, a murder happens, and it's in her neighborhood. So she decides to not do what the boss told her to do and go to the crime scene anyway.
Yeah.
And it is stunningly like her own mother's murder 10 years before. Wow. And so that is what they call the inciting incident, and it just changes the whole trajectory of the book. When she should be doing A to keep her job because she's the only one working to support her grandmother and her sister, she starts doing B because the unresolved murder of her mother changed her whole life, and there's never been justice for her mother's murder. So she's driven by that. And then along the way, she sees clues that nobody else can see because of her Cuban-American culture.
Right.
And she starts to realize that a serial killer is in their West Tampa neighborhood, and that threatens her friends and her family and people that she loves. And so despite the fact she's not supposed to be on the crime beat, she starts working with a homicide detective to solve the mystery of who's killing all the broken girls.
And that, that relationship with the detective takes another turn as well. It's very dramatic in the storyline. But what I love most about this is that I like fast reads, right? And so from the minute you read page 1, it's her first day back at work. She's coming into a newsroom where people are not happy to see her. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of tension, even in the way that she handles her stress. She's constantly turning her bracelet. It's like, strap yourself in. This story is going to go really fast. And she gets into so much trouble very quickly. And the way Linda describes the newsroom and everything from the way she walks into the assignment desk to the way she gets into the car with a photographer and he's looking at her like, you're not gonna do that, are you? It brings back so many memories of exactly what happened a day on the job in the newsroom.
And why do you think, because a lot of people don't, I remember when my Sammy was 4 years old, she thought every mommy worked in the newsroom. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, no. Why do you think working in a newsroom is intriguing to so many people?
I love the fact that it's something new every day. It's very different. And I also love, my brain thinks like a first responder. I like problem solving. Okay, this is the issue. What do I do next? What's the solution? What's my deadline? When are we doing it? And so in the newsroom, that's what you have every day.
I like the dichotomy too of in television, there's this image of perfection. Our hair is done, our makeup is on, when we're live, we say everything so perfectly. But behind the scenes, there's a lot of chaos, right?
Yeah.
And it's not always like that. So I like to pull back the curtain and show people the real deal of what it's like being a reporter and working in a newsroom. And that's what you'll get in the book.
And you definitely do that in this book, yes.
Yeah.
And Linda, this is your third book.
It's actually my fourth.
Okay, I should have known that again.
That's okay. So the first three are part of a series called The Investigators, and they're more like romantic suspense, so there is romance in them. So this book, my publisher came to me actually and said, we think you have a voice to write thrillers. We're looking for a thriller writer, no romance, thriller, serial killer thriller. And they kind of gave me a checklist of things that they wanted in the book. And then they said, go. And let me write the book.
But how do you do it, honestly? You're working in the newsroom, you have a full-time job, you're doing multiple shows, and yet you still write a book.
Yeah, so it took a year to write that book.
Lots
because
of Cuban coffee,
right,
too.
because, yes, and help from my friends. But I will tell you, sometimes you just have to do it. You'll appreciate this because you've both been on deadline. So at one point, they wanted me to write that back half of the book and add 25,000 words. And I was like, what am I going to do that? So I had like a medical procedure, and I had a couple of days off, and then the weekend, and then I took so I had 5 days off. I built 5 days. And I told my husband, I'll see you in 5 days. And we had a condo, and I went upstairs in the office, and I literally worked 12 hours a day. Like, I only stopped to go, eat something maybe, and not even, I would have it delivered.
You completely immersed yourself in that
for 5
world.
days and rewrote the back of that book in 5 days because I didn't have a choice.
What gives master storytellers the adrenaline to do that? Do you think it's the drive?
That's a good question.
For me, it's
We're
about
crazy,
maybe we're a little insane, but also I just love words.
Yes.
And the power and the beauty of words, and it's also very very satisfying to elicit a response from that audience, whether it's someone who's inspired by what you read, or someone who's learning about Cuban culture, reading Linda's book, or someone who's just like bored out of their mind and they pick up this book and they're going to say, wow, I love being able to see the power of words do that for someone.
And I think you a lot too, you like to invoke change or be the force behind change, and maybe more so as a journalist we have the power to do that, to really affect people's lives, and you did that many times. And when you were reporting, you have the power to put someone's story out there, and once it's heard, the community will rally around that person. How many times have we seen that happen?
Change the outcome
and
for that
change
person.
the outcome of their lives.
Well, we're going to go to a break, and I'm going to take a break more quickly than I typically do because we have a very special guest joining us, because I want to talk about how, with Lissette's help and other people's help in the community, you make a book come to life. I'm hoping we can show the double shot of one of my most favorite people. There she is, Carrie Hortzman with the Polk County Sheriff's Office. So we're going to be talking with her when we come back. So stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back.
Precision Garage Store, this is Sophia. How may I help you?
It's the people who work here that make the difference.
That's what we're all here for, teamwork, right?
Exactly, yeah.
That's why we're here for you today.
With one purpose:
If you need us, Precision is here for you.
to give their best to our customers.
We put out love and we get like 10 times back.
You get it coming back too.
Yeah.
We work for you. So thank you, Tampa Bay, for year after year making Precision Garage Door a top workplace.
Label Swap is a retail store that you can bring in the items you don't want anymore. We will buy them for either a cash offer or store credit, and you can also shop the items as well. We carry anything from H&M, Lululemon, up to your luxury items like Gucci and Louis Vuitton. There's nothing really around like it here in the market. It is a fun, personalized experience.
That is awesome. Hey guys, welcome back to On the Record. What a special show. Actually, 3 of my most favorite ladies on this show. We're bringing in one remotely. Carrie Hortzman is joining us from Polk County, Florida. I always say Polk. Am I saying it right?
No, if you're in Polk, you say Polk.
You say Polk. And, of course, Linda Hurtado and Lissette Campos here talking about All the Broken Girls, Linda Hurtado Bond, your book. Carrie, before we start, though, Linda, you have a very special review to read.
I don't know if Carrie even knows this. So I was at my condo one night, and I get a text. It's like 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, who is texting me? And I look, and it's like Sheriff Grady Judd. And I'm like, the sheriff's texting me? So I gave Carrie a book to give to Grady, and so he texted me. I was reading Broken Girls while on vacation this week, and I loved it. Hanks may be in Cuba or living in a fish camp shack on the western shore of Lake Kissimmee in Polk County, using his experience as a detective to elude capture, including traversing the river to Lake Okeechobee and out into the Gulf of Mexico, giving access to Cuba. Along the way are more dead bodies, emoji, emoji, emoji. Some only bleached skeletons in the Florida sun, emoji, emoji, emoji. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he actually read the book, because you wouldn't be able to write that if you didn't, So anyway, it thrilled me that he read the book and he gave me that great review.
He's awesome.
He is. And
he's
for people,
awesome.
So I'm very blessed that we actually have international viewers on the show. But Sheriff Grady Judd is really a character. I mean, when I say character, I say that in the most wonderful, positive way. He's just amazing and has really, really can, carry an interview. I can tell you that.
He is, I would dare say, one of, or the most well-known sheriff in the entire United States.
Yes.
And so the reason I came to Carrie is because there was a scene in the book that was very familiar to something that happened in Tampa. And so when I reached out to the city of Tampa and the police department there, they said, we just can't touch it, neither can Hillsborough, because it's too similar to a case that we're actually investigating. And I knew, Carrie and the Polk County Sheriff's Department, and I thought, well, gosh, they would just be the perfect people to go to, because I know this case doesn't involve their jurisdiction, and they might be able to help me with just the details of making my homicide detective authentic.
And so, Carrie, so talk about that. So what did you ask Carrie? And Carrie, share your experience.
Do you like to read, and will you help me? I think is what I asked her.
I do. I would say I'm a master story reader. You guys are master storytellers, but if I have an addiction, it's reading. And so I was thrilled to read the book, first of all, because I do love to read, and I typically do read homicide novels and fiction. And I've been here 23 years, and I don't just consider myself to be someone that talks to the media and releases information, but I do try to get behind the scenes with a lot of the cases that our detectives work and try to figure things out myself. And so I feel like I have a pretty good knowledge of how they work cases and how they treat victims and victims' family members. And so it was intriguing for me to see that she already had all that in place. I don't really feel like I did a whole lot except enjoy reading the book. But we did have a few discussions about different little things.
Yeah.
See how humble she is? And also, for people who watch the show, they know the number 23, because Sammy's born on the 23rd. And whenever the number 23 comes up, we're like, oh my God, 23 years. But how important is it? And Linda and Lissette, please feel free to jump in to also ask Carrie questions. How important is it, do you feel, for the public to really understand the cases, or what detectives or police, sheriff's deputies do, and how they handle cases?
And the book covers this, is that it is tedious. It's details. And, people watch movies and television shows where crimes are solved within that time frame of the show. And that's just not reality. And with social media now, you have these crimes that are posted on these Crime Watch pages on Facebook, and they're tweeted out, and people want answers right away. And, it takes time, and especially when you are interviewing victims' family members. And what I liked is I learned more about what reporters do. I don't know a lot of behind the scenes of what they do. And I've seen it and never really acknowledged it until I read the book, that reporters are better at interviewing those people, because they establish a rapport with these families, and something that sometimes law enforcement can't do. Because families are scared or nervous or for whatever reason. So I thought it was a great blend of those two types of worlds working together to solve a crime, and then also sort of having a relationship that you normally don't see in real life.
And it's interesting because in the beginning, the reporter and the detective are kind of adversaries, because the reporter's trying to walk under the yellow crime scene tape, which is not recommended. So, but I wanted, because I have such great respect for law enforcement, I wanted that relationship to develop. Do you think did I accomplish that goal, Gary?
Absolutely. And you made him just as, I wouldn't say cynical, but just as standoffish as what I see here in my agency. They'll get upset, these detectives, if a reporter somehow gets a hold of their number, and they'll say, you need to call the PIO. And how'd they get my number?
Right.
And if we want a subject matter expert here, not Sheriff Judd, to talk to a reporter because a reporter asked for that, I will have to really plead and cajole these detectives, like, could you just talk to her on the phone at least? And they're not bad people, we're all on the same team. So you have the job of showing that, at first he doesn't trust her too. He told her a few times, this is off the record, or you better not air this. But then you showed that he was sympathetic, that her mother had been killed, and he genuinely wanted to help solve that. And that's what I love about working with law enforcement. They genuinely do want to help people. They really, really do. And sometimes it's hard to see that because of their gruff exterior, or because they're so businesslike on a scene. They're just trying to look for answers, and sometimes you don't see that soft side. But she brought that out in him, and I really liked that.
Nice.
Why do you guys think, like all the Broken Girls, police shows, why do you think people are so obsessed with this?
I think it's a safe place, storytelling sometimes, to experience things because it's not really happening to you. But also with a whodunit or a mystery, I think people like to play detective or reporter, and they want to put the pieces together. And in this book, their clues are dropped, right?
Yeah.
And so you have a chance to put all the clues together and try to figure out who the serial killer is.
And that's why I particularly liked working on this book, because I was able to see what Carrie was doing to help you with the stuff behind the scenes and the clues that when they would come into the crime scene. So, you know, the newsroom scenes, it was like a little flashbacks, you know, but whenever I was reading, you know, you described the crime scene itself, how they're coming into this room, or they're looking at an old file, or she's talking to that informant on the phone that should not be calling her, by the way, and how he's describing things. Like the way Carrie helped you like weave that together, it kind of like gave me a behind the scenes look at what it's like to be a law enforcement officer walking into this room where you've got evidence everywhere, and what do you do with it?
And a nosy reporter.
Right. Yeah. And Linda, okay, so Linda, to ask both Lissette and Carrie this question, how important do you feel, or how important is it to have real people researching your book?
Well, for me, it's very important because most people know that I'm a journalist first. Like, I'm a journalist first. That's what I'm doing all my life. And so you have to get it right. And that's why it's very important to me. I did research in all of my books.
Yeah.
I remember one review someone said for Alive at 5, I believed everything in the book except the part where she flew in an F-16. How would she know what that is like? And I'm like, well, I actually flew in an F-16.
Yeah.
So I try to make them authentic. So and so nobody can say, well, that's not true. You know, she's a journalist, she should know better, and I should. So I get people to help me. Like, even though I've grown up and around the Cuban American culture, I got my friend Lissette to read every word and make sure it was right, especially the Spanish.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure the Spanish was
Spanish
right.
phrasing needed to be right for the Cuban culture, because there may be a phrase that the Puerto Rican community or the Venezuelan community will relate to right away. But if it's not a phrase that the Cuban grandma would typically use, then it's not in alignment. It's not not accurate.
And for Carrie, I wanted to make sure that my law enforcement detective was not only authentic, doing things that a real law enforcement officer would, but that he was likable, because it's very important to me that people respect our law enforcement because they keep us safe.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, they put their lives on the line every single day. So, Carrie, let me bring you back in because, again, you've been a public information officer for 23 years for the sheriff's office. Is this the first time you've helped research a book? And what was that like?
Oh,
I mean, I know you talked about it a little bit, but how cool was that to be able to research a book?
I stumbled into it because I was going to get some homicide detectives to read the book or read the chapters that Linda sent. And my detectives they're just slammed all the time. And so I genuinely tried to get them to read it. And I said, could you do me a huge favor? This is for Linda Hurtado. And, I have no business reading it. I'm a civilian, even though I really know what these guys do. And so I just couldn't get them to do it because they just didn't have time. Not that they didn't want to. And so I told Linda, I said, well, if you don't mind, I'd like to read it and, just give you some insight. And my husband's a law enforcement. He's a captain here. So, I had a question myself about, I can't even remember what it was now. It wasn't the photo pack because I already knew about the photo pack, but it was something else. Maybe it was about how he was wearing his gun on his belt or something like that. So I have a live-in, subject matter expert that I use too for some of it. But I genuinely just enjoyed it. It is very exciting for me. Like I said, I don't really feel like I did a whole lot, but I appreciate being involved and being given this opportunity to kind of see how the other half lives. I don't get a whole lot of excitement where I am. I'm usually just at my desk all day long.
Well, I think it was important to me.
And this is why I love this woman.
Pleasure.
She's so humble. And Carrie, before we bid you farewell, I hope you come in on the record yourself, you and your husband maybe on Love in America, and get the sheriff in here. We would love it.
I know. I need to do that. I just wish his calendar wasn't so booked. He's just
he's a popular guy.
He's very popular.
Well, Linda, I have to say, I am so honored that I'm going to be emceeing your event. So share
let's
that.
Talk about
it.
I'm so excited about this. So we went to the J.C. Newman Cigar Company in Ybor City. And if you haven't been there, oh my gosh, you've got to go because it's just Oh, it's beautiful.
It's a
first of all,
beautiful building, yes.
and it just is so important to the history of Ybor City and Tampa. We took some pictures there. We were doing some things there, and I thought, gosh, this would be a great place to have a book launch. It's 3 stories. They have, cigar rolling there. You can buy cigars. The huge clock. There's a museum. And so I'm going to bring Carrie, who everyone just met, and Lissette in, and then Toy Locklear, who helped me with the Santeria. She's a professor of religion at the University of South Florida. And you are going to host us in a little Q&A session, and people are going to have mojitos, and my abuela, my mother-in-law, is going to cook yellow rice and chicken and rice pudding, which is so good. And we have some other catering going on too. Thank you to Publix and some of the different sponsors. But we got a lot of people that wanted to sponsor the event, including J.C. Newman. Thank you very much. And so that's going to be on August 25th, Thursday, starting at 6 o'clock. And I'm delighted that you are going to be hosting the program.
It is honestly, it's such an honor for me. And there's only a few tickets left.
A few tickets are left, so now's the time to get your tickets.
And so if you wanted to get a ticket, how do you get a ticket?
You should go to my Facebook page or Instagram and author Linda Bond on any social media. If you just type in author Linda Bond, and it'll be up there, the J.C. Newman Cigar Company, and click on the link. It'll take you. Working Women of Tampa Bay is also going to, it's a nonprofit. Some of the proceeds from the event are going to go to Working Women because we support Working Women of Tampa Bay. And a lot of the Working Women of Tampa Bay sponsored this event, and they're providing services too. So thank you very much to them.
That's so wonderful. And plus, that's also a way to follow you, author Linda Bond.
Yes.
Lissette, how do we follow you? You are our master storyteller. You're all over the place in the community,
I
too.
would say go to LinkedIn, on my LinkedIn page, Lissette Campos. That's where I, write all my updates on the different projects that I'm working on. And it's just really great to connect with everyone and share this story.
Thank you
I
again.
think All the Broken Girls is really a must read.
Definitely, absolutely. And what an honor to have you both in the studio, on the record again, and of course, Carrie Hortzman joining us, from the Polk County Sheriff's Office. So on that note, remember, if you have a story that you want to share, or if you want to come into the studio, please send your ideas to production@redhousestreaming.com. We love hearing from you. Please share the stories on our multiple media platforms, and we're also now on Roku with other big announcements coming soon. But again, Lissette, Linda, All the Broken Girls. I mean, I'm reading it, and I'm already, oh my gosh, what's happening? Can't wait for August 25th, and love you girls.
Love you too, Sarina. Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. Stay safe, everybody. Have a great week.